The first thing anyone noticed at the Vega Scrap and Exotic Goods Bazaar was the smell. A violent combination of engine grease, spicy street noodles, burnt plasma residue, and something that might once have been fruit. Or alive. Possibly both. Leo Ward, human traveler, pilot, and professional bad decision-maker, stepped off his barely holding together ship and inhaled deeply. "Ah," he murmured. "Smells like bankruptcy." He came for a drive coil, just one. The kind that would stop his ship from performing what engineers politely called spontaneous self-ejection of important parts. But fate, cosmic, mischievous, and probably bored, had other plans. As Leo wandered between stalls selling everything from luminous space slugs to hyperknit socks, guaranteed to adapt to foot shape, mood, and political stance, he heard it, muffled shouting and the harsh clang of a metal gate closing. Curiosity may kill cats, but it kept humans employed, so Leo followed the sound through a side corridor lit by flickering signs advertising discounted jetpacks and psychic fortune readings with a 90% accuracy, 12% of the time. What he found made every nerve in his body stand up like it was being charged with static. A hidden auction. Not the fun kind where people bid on antique chairs and pretend to know the value of wood grains. This was the black market sort. Crowded, tense, heavy with the silence of people afraid to be seen carrying strange weapons, forbidden tech, even a glass container holding a three-eyed lizard that looked like it regretted all its life choices. But none of that froze Leo in place. Two figures did. Two alien women stood behind a transparent barrier, hands bound by magnetic cuffs, posture rigid and dignified in a way that made their captivity feel like an insult to physics itself. They looked human, except for the long, elegant ears that curved slightly and caught the dim light like carved silver. Their expressions weren't pleading, they were angry, furious, the kind of expression that said, "I am being subjected to something deeply inconvenient, and someone will be held responsible shortly." The older one stood tall, eyes sharp as if assessing the entire room for weak points. The younger crossed her arms and leaned against the wall like she was used to sarcasm as a defense tactic. Leo felt something twist inside his chest, the way it did when he witnessed injustice or when the diner ran out of pancakes. Item 17. The auctioneer's amplified voice boomed. A matched pair. Rare. Valuable. Perfect for collectors, security display, or private companionship. Leo's eyebrows shot up so fast they nearly launched into orbit. The older woman's glare could have melted asteroids. The younger said something Leo didn't understand, but it was definitely rude. He could tell by the tone. Sarcasm had the same flavor in every language. Bidders raised digital paddles. Numbers climbed. The auctioneer smiled his villainously slick smile. Leo's stomach twisted tighter. He knew what happened to people sold here. He had overheard enough drunken confessions at spaceports. He had seen enough classified adverts before frantically blocking them. It wasn't heroism in his blood. It wasn't a noble destiny. It was simply the intolerable feeling that if he walked away now, he'd never be able to walk past a mirror without wincing. So Leo raised his hand. A few heads turned. Someone laughed. Someone else muttered, "A human? Must be lost." Leo ignored them, trying to look confident, and unfortunately succeeding only in looking like a man who misplaced his confidence 3 planets ago. The bidding intensified. One rich collector in jeweled robes glared at Leo like a lion sizing up salad that insulted his ancestors. Sweat formed, but Leo kept his hand up. The final number flashed onto the hollow board. Silence. Then, sold. Leo felt lightheaded, victorious, nauseous, and absolutely broke in record time. He approached the release station where his purchase waited. The siblings. He assumed they were sisters. The synchronized glares hinted at decades of practice. Studied him. "I believe the phrase you humans use is, 'Thank you,'" the older one said slowly, like she was testing the words for poison. "You're welcome," Leo replied, trying to sound suave and instead sounding like he swallowed a bug. The younger spoke in her language, sharp, melodic syllables, and the older translated flawlessly. "She says you're either a hero or an idiot." Leo shrugged. Why can't I be both? The younger responded again. The older smirked. She says that is likely. Leo grinned nervously as alarms began blaring behind them. He said. Just a heads up, we may need to leave. Immediately. The sisters exchanged a look of mutual exasperation. It seems, the older said, your timing is catastrophically excellent. Leo gestured toward the exit while security shouted in the distance. Ladies, if you'll follow me. We should be gone before someone realizes I didn't pay full price. The younger spoke without needing a translation this time. You definitely did. The Baztec 47 cargo shuttle was not designed for elegance, comfort, or success. It resembled a metal shoebox bolted to a thruster and painted by a committee that hated color coordination. Still, as Leo, Aria, and Sarah sprinted inside and the hatch slammed shut, it became the most beautiful sight in the galaxy. Leo jumped into the pilot seat and began flicking switches rapidly, only half of which he understood. Just, hold on to something. Preferably not me. I panic when grabbed. Through the slanted front window, figures in armored suits stormed the dock, shouting about unauthorized purchases, outstanding balances, and, disappointingly, the toaster thief. Leo hit ignition. The ship coughed like it swallowed sand, belched smoke, and finally blasted free of the station with the grace of a catapulted refrigerator. Inside, Saris tumbled across the floor until she collided with a crate labeled fragile. Do not throw, which was ironic in hindsight. Aria, maintaining her royal dignity, managed to catch herself on the back of Leo's chair, though her long silverish ears twitched aggressively. Your vessel, she said, voice steady but with a tremor of disbelief, smells like burnt oil and despair. Thank you, Leo replied proudly. I've worked very hard on cultivating that atmosphere. Saris groaned and sat up, brushing dust from her dark, curtain-like hair. Are all humans like this? I really hope not, Leo said. For your species' sake. With the pursuing ships still scrambling behind them, Leo activated the quantum drift. Something he definitely shouldn't have done without a mechanic, manual, or emergency pizza. The universe folded, stretched, folded again, screamed a little, and suddenly everything outside turned into streaks of color like tie-dye made by a caffeinated octopus. The danger passed, and the silence settled in. The awkward kind, the kind that demanded answers. Aria stood tall, arms crossed, eyes stern. You risked your life for strangers, she said. Strangers you could not communicate with. Explain. Leo scratched his cheek. It felt like the right thing, he said. And also, the auctioneer gave off the kind of vibes that say, my basement has rules. I don't like that. Saris snorted. You are strange. Oh good, Leo replied, relieved. Better than stupid. Debatable, she countered. Aria shot her sister a look before turning back to him. We are not common captives. We are daughters of Queen Varel of the Xylar Empire. Our disappearance was orchestrated. Leo froze mid-nod. The room suddenly felt too small for royal revelations. Like, bigger than local politics orchestrated? He asked. Bigger, Aria replied. Bigger than interplanetary trade dispute bigger? Bigger. Leo leaned back slowly. Galactic bigger? Saris grinned, leaning in. You purchased the galactic bigger. Well, Leo sighed. At least I'm consistent. Consistently doomed. Aria softened just slightly. You did save us. Leo lifted a finger. Technically, I purchased you. Which, Saris said, is worse in conversation. Do not tell people that. Noted. As they continued through drift space, Leo offered food, dehydrated meal packs labeled mystery flavor. Saris poked the pouch suspiciously. Is this alive? It shouldn't be, Leo said. But if it is, that means it's fresh. Aria cautiously tasted hers and blinked. It is strange, she said, but not entirely unpleasant. That's the review on the packaging, Leo replied. Conversations stretched further than the drift. The sisters explained how political rivals framed their abduction, how their monarchy held power not just through rule, but through a mysterious cultural tradition, the bond mark, a symbolic connection between ruler and people that had been strained since their disappearance. Leo tried to contribute, but his main political experience was once being banned from a casino planet for creative math. Still, the three of them found cracks where fear slipped out and humor slipped in, and their strange alliance took shape. An alarm suddenly pinged. A small light blinked on the console labeled Incoming Transmission. Critical. Arya stepped forward. "If it is my mother's fleet," she said, "we will be received with honor." Leo stared at the display as it flickered with live data. Saris leaned over his shoulder. "If it is the assassins," she added, "we will be received with explosions." "Good," Leo said, voice cracking. "I love having options." The transmission resolved. A fleet fast. Dozens of ships. Not welcoming. Not Elvarian. Leo swallowed. "So, anyone here good with persuasion?" Saris cracked her knuckles. "I am." Leo sighed with relief. She added, "But usually after we start shooting." The fleet closed in like hungry wolves around a confused sheep, if the sheep were made of loose bolts and unpaid maintenance, and the wolves were bristling with plasma cannons. Leo's heart thumped as red lights flashed through the cockpit, painting his face like a warning sign that didn't know how to speak politely. Arya stood behind him, calm and noble despite the chaos. Saris was already in a seat, pulling up weapons systems Leo didn't know existed. "You had cannons this entire time?" he shouted. "You didn't ask?" Saris replied cheerfully, powering them with a grin that suggested she'd been waiting her whole life for permission. Arya rested a hand gently over her sister's. "No, we do not return to our mother's palace with the scent of war. Not yet." Leo gulped. "So, diplomacy?" Saris made a face like diplomacy tasted like spoiled algae. But she nodded. Leo opened the communications line, praying nothing exploded from the act of pressing the button. A hologram flickered. A stern alien general, ears shorter but similar, Elvarian. His armor gleamed, thick and ceremonial. "Identify yourselves." Arya stepped forward. "General Veyla, if you fire, you will become the first warrior recorded in our history to assassinate the royal family twice." The general froze. Saris whispered from the side, "Nice." Arya continued, voice sharp with regal steel. "We live. We were betrayed by those who sought to fracture our empire's future. We return not as survivors, but as witness to treachery." Leo watched the general's expression shift as though someone replaced the program running behind his eyes. "My princesses," Veyla said, bowing deeply. "Forgive us. The queen believed you lost." "You believed it convenient," Arya replied. Saris added, "Still time to redeem yourself. Do not make us write long speeches. We dislike speeches." The general barked orders. The fleet repositioned, no longer threatening but escorting them with reverence Leo was definitely not used to. When they landed on Elvarian Prime, thousands gathered. An ocean of silvers, blues, robes, banners. The queen, regal and radiant, approached. Her ears were long like her daughter's, but adorned with subtle golden markings that pulsed with soft light. Arya and Saris stepped forward. The queen's face cracked, not with anger, but relief so raw it pierced the hush. She embraced them, and the crowd erupted. Leo, having no idea where to stand, chose not to stand at all and instead tripped on the ramp. Saris failed to hide her laugh behind her hand. Arya whispered without turning, "Dignity, Leo." "Never had it," he whispered back. When the ceremonies ended and accusations flew toward the traitors, the princesses spoke. Not with vengeance, but with truth that reshaped the air around them. "We live because someone expected nothing," Arya announced to the council. "He purchased freedom with no promise of reward." Leo cleared his throat. "To clarify, very expensive freedom. Still paying that off." Saris raised her chin. "And he did it without knowing who we were." Whispers rippled. Curiosity softened suspicion. The queen approached Leo directly. Human, she said, studying him. You have altered the fate of my line. Leo, trying not to sweat visibly, answered with the only thing that fit. You're welcome, Your Highness, Majesty, Empire Lady? Saris elbowed him lightly. Stop talking. Arya stepped closer. Your actions speak to a future we fought against acknowledging. Our people cling to tradition, even when it costs lives. You reminded us, compassion is not weakness. Leo blinked. I honestly just hate auctions. The Queen smiled, a small, knowing curve. Then let your accidental heroism be recognized. Leo wasn't knighted, Elvarians didn't do knighting. Instead, they offered him something far more valuable. A place. Not a throne, not a title, but a role as ambassador between humans and Elvarians. An official position to represent the odd, unpredictable, occasionally disastrous species he belonged to. Standing before the crowd, Leo realized he no longer felt like the man drifting from port to port chasing broken parts and bad choices. He felt fixed not by mechanics but by purpose. Arya placed a hand on his shoulder. Try not to embarrass us. I'll aim for minimal embarrassment, Leo replied proudly. Saris tossed him a grin. Low standards are a great start. With the stars stretching above them, vast and waiting, Leo understood. A single reckless act of compassion had rippled into something larger than fear, profit, or politics. He didn't save the princesses because they were royalty. He saved them because they were people. And sometimes that was how galaxies changed.